ex left me for a good friend, so now I'm going to meet and work for their favorite artist. Last year, my partner of many years who I was ready to propose to and marry, and one of our good friends started getting far more close than I was really comfortable with during a period I was working long and hard to provide for us. She started getting distant and they were cozying up. Eventually, they tried to guilt me into accepting a polyamorous relationship, which I wasn't cool with. And when I ultimately put my foot down on the idea, she ended up choosing them over me. My ex tried to turn the entire friend group against me, which didn't work but did scar me mentally. And I found out a lot of other terrible things she had been doing, like using my money for parties or spending it on her now current partner. She consistently trashed me on social media when I never talked bad about her, even after all the hurt and pain I went through. I went through a massive depressive episode that I'm still struggling with today, losing my business, sanity, and even my human will to live. It was the darkest time of my life for this and some other reasons. But I kept reminding myself that I have to outlive my enemies, and a life well lived is the best revenge one can have. So I set the plan in motion. There is a very famous DJ my ex has a huge tattoo for and absolutely loves more than anything. And her new partner is a massive fan as well. I believe they even traveled to go see said artist recently. And while I had this plan for a while, I kicked into overdrive and finally got it done after finding that out. I worked many years as a videographer and photographer in the touring music world. It was a dream that I eventually gave up to be at home more and focus on building our relationship more as I got older. During my career, I worked with some decently known artists and built a few important connections. I opened up my old contacts list and went down the rabbit hole until I was able to get in contact with the DJ's team and get set up to be paid handsomely for doing touring work. Running fan meetups, managing their Instagram content, etc. My work and name will be promoted all over the socials for my ex and her partner to see, and you best believe I'll be taking plenty of selfies. And while my original motivation was pure spite, I am super excited to be following my dreams again and getting another opportunity to be a creative. Plus, meet so many amazing new people on the road again. The best revenge is success. People want you to fail so bad and know that they can live rent-free in your head.
My brother doesn't understand why I won't come to a naturist resort for his wedding.
I see.
My philosophy is that I don't care what others do as long as someone isn't hurting or infringing on my rights or the rights of others. Whatever consenting adults do in their private lives is none of my concern. This extends to my brother and his fiance being naturists. However, I do take an issue with them being angry that I won't attend their wedding. They are having their wedding and reception at a naturist resort. They met there, and I understand it holds significance for them. I even checked if nudity is a requirement for the ceremony and reception, or if it's regular wedding attire. It's a requirement to be nude, though.
Oh.
Just like all other times at the resort. I've offered to pay for a separate reception for them, however. This just made them even angrier. I'm not comfortable being in nude in front of a large crowd of strangers, either at the wedding or in the resort period. I was asked to be a bridesmaid, even though I don't know my brother's fiance well enough to be friends. I moved to Darwin from Adelaide for work before my brother met her. I'm definitely not comfortable walking up the aisle arm in arm with a groomsman I've never met when we're both nude, or standing in front of everyone during the ceremony, or being in all photographs when I'm nude.
Oh, that everyone just can have.
What? My brother's fiance said if she looked like me, she would go nude all the time.
Well, doesn't she?
Yeah, what? You do it either way. I'm not saying being a naturist is wrong. I'm not saying they should not get married at a naturist resort. I'm just uncomfortable with attending the wedding if I'm required to be nude for it. I don't know about his fiance's family, but some of my siblings and cousins or their spouses are also uncomfortable. My parents are no longer with us, so I can't ask them for advice. I'm just wanting to get off my chest how I feel about my brother not understanding my discomfort with this.
This sounds like my worst nightmare.
No chance.
This actually sounds like, and I'm sure there are so many people out there who are like, this wouldn't be a problem for me. Good for you, and that's so fine, and like, you can go to those weddings.
Teach your own, baby. Am I the asshole for walking out of the bridal salon when I found out my friends were making fun of me behind my back? I have two friends, Gabby and Shelly. All of us are 23, if that matters. We were roommates in college and stayed in the same city after graduation. While the three of us are close, I've always known that Gabby and Shelly are closer. They have a really sweet friendship. Shelly is getting married, Gabby is the maid of honor, and I'm one of the bridesmaids. Over the weekend, I went with Shelly so she could look at wedding dresses. Gabby was supposed to come with us, but got called into work last minute. I helped helped Shelly pick out some dresses. Then she went with a consultant to try them on. Shelly asked that I take pictures and videos on her phone to send to her mom and Gabby. I was getting the camera ready when a text from Gabby came through. I didn't mean to click on it and was instantly going to click back out when I saw one of my Instagram pictures in their private chat from earlier that morning. Both were making fun of me for the face I was making and my outfit choice. It didn't appear to be in very good nature. I admit, curiosity got the best of me, so I searched my name in the chat. I found multiple pictures that I, my boyfriend, or my mom have posted of myself, absolutely ripping them to shreds.
Stop.
Ranging from selfies to pose shots to even a few baby pictures. They'd also make fun of me in general terms of the way I talked, wore my hair, the way I ate. This went back as far as I could tell, at least a year. My heart broke. It all felt so juvenile and high school. While we all joke around, I would never do this to them, nor have they ever even tried to instigate these types of conversations with me about the other one-on-one. I was in tears. As someone who was bullied all through middle and high school, it just brought me back to a horrible place. I put the phone in Shelly's purse and brought it to another employee, telling her to tell Shelly that I had to go. I drove home and had a long cry. Shelly texted me by the time I made it home asking where I went. I said I was going home and we could talk later. When she did call a few hours later, she was understandably confused and hurt that I had left. I told her what I found, explaining I only looked further because of the initial text I accidentally saw. She went off on me for looking through her private texts
Please.
and said those were none of my business.
Oh my God.
She also told me I shouldn't have left the store without saying anything. I said I didn't want to make a scene, but also knew I couldn't fake being happy for her.
No.
Shelly told me the texts were all in good fun, and clearly she loves me because I'm going to be her bridesmaid.
Clearly you don't.
She added that I'm only hurt because I chose to read all of those texts. Later on, Gabby called to tell me that I invaded Shelly's privacy
Oh God.
and hurt her by walking out.
Please.
My boyfriend and mom think I did the right thing by walking out, but obviously they're a little biased. I just want some unbiased looks. Was I an asshole to look through the texts and then leave?
No.
This is beyond justified.
Am I in the wrong for not apologizing to my friend after she screamed at me and my kid at her wedding? 2 weeks ago, I, female 29, hubby male 31, and son male 4, attended my BFF's female 28 wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony and everything was going great, until BFF and her husband cut the cake. Important context. BFF did speak to me during her wedding planning about being unsure on whether or not to allow kids at her wedding. Her 2 sisters both have kids around my son's age and she sees him as her nephew too. But she wanted to be able to let loose and enjoy her wedding without worrying about any kids messing things up. I gave her my opinion, saying that me and my hubby allowed kids at our wedding and wouldn't have it any other way. The kids are still family and deserve to be included. After that, and speaking with her sisters, she and her husband okayed kids for the wedding. Now, the ceremony went swimmingly. BFF's nieces sat with me, hubby, and son as her sisters were at the bridal party. I brought quiet activities to keep them entertained and everybody behaved. I even cried from how lovely it was. When we got to the reception, nieces were returned to their parents, so it was just now me, hubby, and son. Dinner went fine, and then the couple took to the dance floor for their first dance. Afterwards, everybody was welcomed to the floor to dance for a bit before cutting cake. At this point, the kids were running around and playing with each other, and it was a fairly secure space, and I knew almost everybody there, so I felt comfortable letting my son play with the other kids while hubby and I had fun dancing. Hubby offered to DD so that I could enjoy myself, so I had a couple of glasses of wine at this point. BFF had also been drinking and celebrating. BFF and her husband go to do the cake cutting, and hubby and I are still a little slow getting there, so there was a crowd blocking our view. Suddenly, I hear her scream my son's name. Hubby and I push forward to see what's wrong. I see my son with frosting around his mouth and his fingers. The cake had a small chunk taken out of it. I try to apologize, but she turns around and yells, "This is your fault. Your son ruined my cake. He's only here because you told me it would be worth it to include kids." I yelled back, telling her it was just an accident and that the rest of the cake was still edible. That this was her nephew she was screaming about. She told me that I was no friend of hers and he wasn't her nephew, in front of everyone. She told me to leave or she'd call security. Son and I were crying at this point and the 3 of us left. One of the bride's sisters reached out to me after and apologized for her sister's reaction, but said that I needed to apologize. I think sorries are out of the window now after her outburst. I told her sisters so and said I expected an apology first before I'd say anything to her. Not only did she blow up at me in front of everyone, but at my son. I'm humiliated but even more angry on his behalf. So, am I in the wrong if I refuse to apologize first?
Whenever I tell people that I pay to have my air filter replaced in my car, they freak out. And for a long time, I was like, why do they freak out? Why are they being so weird about this? All that happens is every so often when I'm getting my oil changed, they say, hey, this is dirty. Do you want us to change it? And I say, how much? And they say $18. And I say, yeah, that sounds great because it's just like the cost of the filter plus a few dollars. For me, that's like $4 to save me a little bit of time of like purchasing the filter myself, putting it in myself. And so I didn't understand why people would always go, oh, you have people change your filter for you, but it's so expensive. And then I took my car to a dealership this last week and they said, this is everything that's wrong with your car. Now, mind you, everything that they wanted to do, I like just barely had a checkup a little while ago and I have not driven the car that much. And so I thought that's suspicious. That's weird. But one thing that really tipped me off was the air filter. They wanted to charge me $64 to change the air filter in my car. And I was like, listen, I don't know about, like, I have enough, I don't know a lot about cars, okay? But I'm smart enough to be offended that you're trying to charge me $64 to replace an air filter? Like, are people that stupid? They think that I'm that stupid? It made me mad. It felt so rude. How can they get away with it? That's insane. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, they have higher quality filters. No, there's no reason that to replace your little air filter, it should cost $64. Absolutely not.